Yeah, hello and welcome to my today's video about the Panasonic V770 camcorder you can see here. To be precise, this video is not meant to be a review of the video performance of all the features and menu structure and so on of a Panasonic camcorder with V770 directly. This is more a video about the accessories I recommend, how to get, by the way, the original Panasonic sunshade for the V770 and V750 models, for example, because there it's not included. And I also want to talk about the differences in between the V750 and V770, when maybe the 750 is enough for someone and why, for example, in general, the V770 is the better choice. And if you want to, you can also listen to the last part where I also talk a little bit about alternatives, 4K alternatives from Panasonic directly, for example, and why maybe the new VX980 model, which is now coming within a few weeks, at least at the time I'm making this video, is a good choice. Yeah, but let's start first with accessories. I want to give you a short overview. I want to talk about the sunshade, an external power solution, why maybe such a ball head is a good choice to get if you don't have one lying around, or if you don't get, for example, an external monitor with a ball head already included. I want to show you a very super cheap monitor solution. There is also a review, by the way, available in my channel, or should be available at the time you're watching this video. I want to talk about external mounting points, especially also according external in an external monitor, and why maybe, for example, this solution is a more flexible one. By the way, this is the original flash adapter, and these are optional and not included. And the rest is also not included, by the way, only this one here, this part here. But let's start with the sunshade. As you can see, I have already mounted it, and the shame is really, why is Panasonic not including this sunshade already with the 770? Because it's fitting the same, just screw it on. It's also not shading the edges or so, because they are also using the same, exactly same lens with the 4K models, and together with the 750 and 770 models. And I mean, with the sunshade, you're getting a better image. You're getting also more protection at the front, for example, because even if you break this one here, just replace it, and the camcorder is still not damaged. And it's also, by the way, looking way more professional. And for example, I planned to buy 2 of these camcorders with the sunshades additionally. But yeah, I cancelled this now because I wanted to test out the Panasonic G7 with an external Ninja recorder first. But for example, let's say you want to build up a very super small 2-camera setup. Just get a hard case, put in there 2 of these with the sunshades, for example, with 2 power packs. Get 2 super small tripods, and you're ready to shoot, at least if you don't need additional light. And I think it's also looking way more professional with the sunshade. So I think the 18 bucks or so, which I paid for the sunshade, are really good, a really good investment. If you have or plan to buy such a camcorder, it's a really good investment. By the way, I got the sunshade from Panasonic, from the Panasonic replacement parts port directly. It's called SYK0602, lens hood. And yeah, for example, I got 2 of these, or bought 2 of these already, for about, as mentioned, 18 bucks exclusive, per piece, 18 bucks, by the way. So not super cheap, but a good investment, exclusive shipment. You can get this directly from Panasonic, or you can also go to a local Panasonic dealer and order it there. I just can tell you that it's there for sure more expensive, because they also add a few bucks or so. So this is the first investment, 18 bucks, and you get a way more professional, way better image producing and more protected camcorder. The second part, which is really important and which I think is a way better solution than getting an additional battery. By the way, the original battery is a small one, but it's quite okay, because you can also put then your finger at the back. I don't recommend to get the bigger one, because then it's here and it's not as comfortable to hold anymore in your hand, and my hands are already quite big, by the way. To extend the battery life, you can use, for example, such an external battery pack. Mine is a PowerAd Slim 2 with 18.5 watt hours. I don't know if you can see this. It's really nice because it's small. You can use a Velcro or so, for example, to tape it yeah, to the side of your tripod, for example, or you can also tape it somewhere here or mount it somewhere on such a bracket or so, for example, beside your external mic if you're using one or if you plan to use one. It's really nice because, and really easily working because this is the original Panasonic cable, and the original Panasonic charger is a USB port charger. So just plug in here, plug in at the side here, for example, with a camcorder, and you are ready to go. And as you can see, it's powering up automatically. It's charging already internally, and it's also powering it, by the way, while running. What's really nice is, and I recommend to do this, use always this here, and as soon as you want to use it handheld and you don't want to use or plan to use a bracket or so, unplug it and use the internal battery, and also let the internal battery in there because it's kind of a backup battery as soon as this one is depleted. But this is a really nice solution. I paid 15 or 20 bucks or so, I think 15 bucks for this year. So it's also very easy to extend your battery life with such a super cheap external battery solution. And the nice thing is you can also use it for your tablet, for your handy, so for your smartphone, to charge it on the go. And I think it's a very nice flexible solution. By the way, according external devices in general, there is also this flash shoe adapter included, which you can mount here at the back. The point is, it's really stable. There's nothing wobbling, squeaking, whatever. The problem is a little bit that you're blocking maybe this part here of the zoom lever, especially with very small directional mics or with a wireless receiver or so. You're blocking this part here. And even if you're using it on a tripod, for example, yeah, you also need this zoom lever because it has no length support. By the way, according length support, also the smaller Sony camcorders, especially the newer generations, are also skipping this. So don't think that it's better with the new, smaller, cheaper Sony camcorders, because till now they supported it, but not. But for example, I think the AX33 was one of the first more expensive consumer grade models, which skipped that. According using accessories on this, I recommend to use such a ball head adapter. This was included with the monitor, by the way. Just slip it on and use the accessories on there, because it's way easier than to get to the zoom lever. And even if your directional mic is hanging a little bit, there is still more than enough space to get to the zoom lever. Beside that, by the way, you can also get then such a metal adapter. I can show it to you, to use a directional mic. If this one isn't coming with a 1/4-inch port, just screw this on here, for example, and you're also ready to shoot, and you have a higher positioned cold shoe or flash shoe adapter position. Okay, now let's get to the other solutions. The point is, you can also go with such a bracket here, for example. The huge pro of this bracket is you can also turn it here, so you can also mount it in any angle, for example. The point is, and the problem a little bit with this is that it's also quite low according the position, because otherwise you could, it would be even possible to mount it at the back here, and then you can also use it at the back, for example, as an additional flash bracket. Otherwise, sideways, it's maybe blocking your hand, for example, if you still want to shoot handheld. For this, I think the ball head solution is the better choice. Also important is according monitors. I don't recommend to use, for example, such an external monitor on this flash bracket. It's really stable, yes, that's true, but it's still more thought to be used for a small flash, for a small LED light, for a small directional mic, and these mic accessories are really, really lightweight. So if you really plan to go with a monitor, I recommend to use such a clamp. The point is, with such a clamp, you can also mount, for example, this on any rail you know, or you can use, for example, on a bridge or somewhere else. Absolutely no problem to hold, for example, this camcorder here. It's also really nice, by the way, to use with such a monitor, because you can also mount this then to your tripod, for example, at the side somewhere, or you can mount it directly, for example, okay, I cannot unscrew it now, with a 1/4 inch, for example, if your tripod offers such a port, which is the case with many tripod heads out there, especially the cheaper ones. And if you want or plan to use an external screen, I highly recommend this one. This is the Feelworld FW759 screen, which is a 7-inch panel model with a 1280 by 800 IPS panel. Really, really nice. If you're interested in it, check it out. There is a video online within my channel, and this is really one of the cheapest screens I recommend. The point is why I'm showing you this screen here. The Panasonic camcorder isn't coming with an histogram. It's possible to control everything manually, so exposure-wise, shutter-wise, gain-wise, aperture-wise, iris-wise. You can control everything manually, but you don't get a histogram. And the problem is the internal screen, which is also nice normally to use, it's not showing the proper image which is recorded, because I think the levels are adjusted, the contrast, the saturation, the sharpness, everything is adjusted a little bit to look a little bit better. I don't know why, but if you really want a representation what's recorded internally, I highly recommend to use an external monitor, especially in manual mode, and if you want to use it more professionally, go for an external screen. By the way, the monitor is using micro HDMI, not my choice normally, because I don't like micro. I want to have at least a mini port. And here is also, by the way, the first difference in between the 750 and 770 models. The 770 is coming with a mini port. This one is coming now with a micro port. Yeah, it's kind of a con and an upgrade in the wrong direction, but yeah. That's life, and I think everyone is doing it now. So for exposure, I highly recommend go for this screen, because there is no histogram internally or built in, and otherwise it's way too hard to judge the exposure, or if you're overexposed, underexposed, and so on. Before I forget to mention it, go for the FW759P model, because the model without the P at the end isn't coming with a histogram, zebras and false color, and the P model is just $10 more expensive, so I highly recommend go for the FW759P. Review is online, check it out. So these are the accessories I highly recommend to get. At least the first two, I mean, this was $15, the sunshade was $18, both exclusive shipment or excluding shipment. And this one here, for example, if you plan to use an external mic or monitor, is about 15 or 20 or maybe 25 with the clamps. And yeah, then you're really flexible to use the camcorder on any rail, for example. You're more flexible according to the position of the monitor, of an maybe in the future available monitor, and with external mic solutions. Let's get to the differences in between the 750 and the 770 model. As already mentioned, the HDMI port got a change. As you can maybe you can see it here, there's still the space for the mini port, but they just built in a micro port. Why? Oh, why? I don't know why they made it. The second way more important difference in between the V750 and the 770, and also the 777 and 757 according to the PAL models, is that the 750 got a crappy audio preamp system. So if you plan to use the internal, this is the headphone port, by the way, there's also a headphone port. If you plan to use the internal mic port, the external mic port, definitely go for the 770 model, because the 750 has huge problems there. I don't know if they fixed it with a newer generation or with a newer produced models, but I highly recommend go for the 770 if you plan to use the internal audio. On the other hand, if you plan to use, for example, an external monitors very often, the 750 with a mini HDMI is the better choice, because it's physically bigger and stronger. And for example, if you plan to record the audio externally anyway, there is no need for the 770 because the other Pro, the HDR mode of the 770 compared to the 750, I mean, it's a 2-exposure mode, so you cannot even use it with very fast moving objects because you then get the double edges. And by the way, the 750 model is also way cheaper. At least here, for example, you can get the 750 within Europe. You can get it for $250 to $300, and the 770 is going up to over $400 for a used one. So you can also save a lot of money, especially if you plan to buy a 2-camera setup, for example, or if you plan to use it more professionally. It makes no sense to get the 770 model if you're recording the audio externally. Okay, I think I mentioned everything. At the end, I want to talk a little bit about the new models which are coming out. The problem I had with this model a little bit is it's only capable of recording 25p and 50p, 1080 mode. By the way, there's no 4K mode with the 770 model. The problem is that, for example, in low light conditions, it would be great to have a 25p mode in 1080 resolution, but this is not possible. And this is now, for example, better with the VX980 model, because there you also get, beside the 4K mode, which is also coming now with 24p, you also get now a 1080 mode with 24p with the same 50 mbit or megabits per second codec option, MP4 option. And so you can also use it way better in low light conditions. Besides that, the 24p modes are also way easier to sync with system cameras, for example, because let's say I'm still recording now with my GH2, and it wouldn't be possible to get a 24p signal out of this camcorder here, for example, but it's now coming with the newest models from Panasonic, the VX980 and VX990. There are not that much other differences according the 4K mode. The bitrate is the same, the body is the same, at least with the 980 model, compared to the 2015 4K models, the VX870 and WX970, or how they were called, or how they are called, because they are still available. According the 990 model, there are other differences. You get film simulation tools like a dolly shot and super slow zoom and so on. But way more important with the 990 model, by the way, if you plan to upgrade to invest more and make an upgrade, there is a new viewfinder built in, which is coming with 1.5 million dots and with a very nice big eye cup. So if you want to have an EVF, go for the 990 model, or at least check it out. The second thing is that you don't need to attach an additional accessory to get a flash shoe or a cold shoe. This is not a hot shoe, this is just a cold shoe. It's positioned here with the new 990 model. Maybe also a little bit problematic with directional mics because it's then even too far at the front, but at least you don't need this accessory, which you can also lose or forget at home. The next point, which is also really, really nice, is that they moved the headphone port, the headphone port here, I think, and the mic port here. So you can close down the LCD screen as soon as you, or as far as you want to use an external mic. Here it's not possible because as soon as you plug in here a cable, it's not possible to close the camcorder. Yeah. At least with a 990 model, it makes also more sense, because if you want to use the EVF, yeah, you normally don't want to open up the monitor anymore. Okay, this is it more or less. Check it out, the 990 and 980 models, especially if you plan to shoot more in darker situations. The 980 model is a good choice because it's, again, $200 cheaper. List price, I think $799 and $999 for the bigger 990 model. Yeah, that's it more or less. I hope I showed you everything I planned to show you. And yeah, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. I always try to help. Though I plan, by the way, to sell this again, as mentioned, I think I mentioned it already, to get a Panasonic G7 for, a Ninja recorder, an external recorder. So stay tuned for the other videos which are coming. Maybe I also make a review about that combination. Okay, that's it. Thanks for watching. Bye.